Hello everybody, if you're new here, my name is Allison, and today we are going to be doing another indie book talk. If you're new here, I started a series where I am talking about indie books. So that's independently published books. I'm reviewing them, I'm talking about them, and I'm so pumped about it. I did The Violet Theory first by Elodie Ivor. Now I'm moving on to Twisted Fate by Jessi Elliott. Twisted Fate is a new adult paranormal romance novel, and it's all about a young woman named Aurora. She is in her last 2 semesters of college when suddenly she is kidnapped by the leader of the Fae and his little squad. And soon she finds out all about the Fae and how the leader works, and Tristan Westbrook is the leader of the Fae, and he is charming and gorgeous, and she starts to fall for him, but she's a little bit stubborn and doesn't want to admit that she's falling for him. So it's just this, as Jessi calls it, a swoon-worthy romance, which is very true. I love it. My notes get crazier as they go down the page, like usual when I start reading a book that I'm really into. But I highly recommend it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you haven't checked out Jessi's books, go ahead and go get them on Amazon. There are 3 in the series: Twisted Fate, Twisted Gift, and Twisted Desire, which I finished all of them. And I'm actually heartbroken that there's no more. But Twisted Fate is the first one, so we are going to be talking about that one today. And I will be doing subsequent book talks for the rest of the series as well. This is the end of the non-spoilery section, so if you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. I highly recommend you don't get spoiled for this series because it's so good and you're not going to want to get spoiled. So go get the book. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free, and go read it and then come back and rave about Tristan Westbrook and Aurora with me. So we're back now, and we're going to talk about this novel. I'm normally not like a romance kind of novel girl, but I really did like that there was the paranormal aspect of the Fae, and that added just a little bit of it. But I'm normally not like a lovey-dovey, like, oh my gosh, like romance girl. But Jessi does it so well, and she does it so well. I'm sorry if you can hear a dog snoring in the background. They are currently sleeping in my bed and will not be quiet. Pug life, apparently. Well, we begin the story with Aurora going to class, and I really liked this scene because she was sleeping in class, and literally if I could sleep in class, if I could get away with that, your girl would, because I'm always tired, and so I felt very connected to Aurora already. She's sleeping. We meet this mysterious guy named Grant. We'll get to him later. But we meet him, and he wakes up Aurora, and he's like, I'm the TA in this class, and da 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 da. And you can tell I don't like him. But he was like waking Aurora up in class, and I was like, let the girl sleep. Let her sleep. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're acting like a nice guy now. You woke her up, so be gone with yourself. Then we go back from class. She has a run-in with someone that we do know is Max now, but she runs into Max, and he ends up being a total jerk like usual. What's new? But then she goes back to her room, and we meet Allison and Allison's boyfriend Oliver, which I really like this scene as well. I love Allison as a character. Can I just tell you, she is very much like me. She is like the perfectionist, like always doing her schoolwork, like, but she's so funny, and she's a great best friend. And I don't know, I just really liked Allison. I mean, she had her flaws at moments, but we'll forgive her. So yeah, really digging Allison. And so Oliver comes in, he's like, let's go to this party, like, let's go. And Aurora's like, I don't know. And finally she agrees to go. So Allison, Aurora, and Oliver go to the party, and I think it was at like a frat house. I'm not really sure. It was like at a house, but maybe a frat house. I've never seen a frat house because at my university they actually took away sorority row and took down those houses, and they like built apartments. So the sororities and the frats live in like dorm apartments instead. It's different now, so I've never seen a frat house, but I was like clearly thinking of like a frat house from like a movie. So they go, and Aurora ends up running into this girl, and I can't remember her name. It's in my notes down the line, but she is like not Allison's favorite, and we don't know why. I know why now, but we don't know why at the point. And Aurora's like, what are you're being weird. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And then they end up splitting up because Aurora goes up to go to the bathroom, and Max is there, and he's up in the hallway, and he kidnaps Aurora, just up and snatches her. And I was like, oh, because like, how did he get her out of there? Like, did he use the teleporting thing, or did he just like drag her out? I think he used the teleporting thing. That would make the most sense, but I could just, like, in my mind at the moment, I was like, because I didn't know about the teleporting thing, all I could think about was him, like, carrying Aurora over his shoulder and, like, running out of the sorority house. So I don't think that's what Jessi was going for, but my mind runs rampant when I'm thinking about things. And so we get to the part where Aurora wakes up in the hotel, in a room. It's at the Westbrook Hotel, but she wakes up and Max is like messing with her and is feeding on her energy and like beating her up pretty much, and she's like not having it. Aurora is not having it, and she escapes into the hallway. We meet Sky as well, which I love Skylar. She's the main character in the novellas, which I just grew more of an appreciation for her. I love Sky. I think she is an amazing character, and we love Sky. Aurora runs out into the hallway and runs towards the elevator, and all I could think about was, if I was that, I would be like standing there like pressing the elevator button, like come on, open up, and the doors open up. And lo and behold, Tristan Westbrook is in the elevator, and he ends up healing Aurora because her head, I think it was her head. Yeah, she has like a bump on her, or like a cut on her head, and he heals her, and like she freaks out, because who wouldn't freak out if some random dude just healed you and you were like, how did you do that? Like, how you do that? Like, how did you do that? So we also find out that the Fae feed on energy, so they feed on humans and their energies, and that's what Max was doing to her. So thank you, sir. Then we find out Max done messed up because he got the wrong girl. He got Aurora instead of Allison, and my one question was, doesn't Max know what Allison looks like? If she is like such, or she was a part of the Dark Fae, doesn't Max know who she is? Or it just didn't make sense to me, and I thought it was like leading down the line. I know we get that Aurora has the Fae blood in her family line, and that's why he got mixed up with it, but I originally thought maybe it was gonna be like Aurora and Allison being sisters, and that's why, and Allison, or Aurora didn't know that Allison was like her twin or like something like that, and they ended up getting separated at birth, and that's, yeah. But that's not what happened, but I was just confused, like, doesn't Max know what Allison looks like? I mean, there's not that many Dark Fae in this town. I just didn't understand. Then Tristan like tries to like erase Aurora's memories, and all I was like, oh, you trying to use compulsion over here and like erase memories? And Aurora was like, excuse me, you can't like just like mess with my mind and like erase my memories, because I'm cool and I have Fae blood in my family. And so you're kind of stuck with me. So then Tristan gives her the deal of either you're going to find this girl, he hands her a picture, and she doesn't look at it, or you can be killed. Lovely. So Aurora's like, fine, I'll help you like kidnap this girl. Cool. Love being a part of a crime. And she sticks the picture in her back pocket. She goes home, she pulls the picture out, and it was Allison on the photo, which, again, Max should have known what Allison looked like if they had a photo of her. Max, you a dummy sometimes. But she finds out it's Allison, and she flips out rightfully so, because like what when you find out your friend is Faye, like I'd be a little freaked out. And then Allison like dips out. She's like, okay, I gotta go because like Tristan knows where I'm at and I'm gonna get my butt beat, so I'm gonna go. So she just leaves. Doesn't say where she's going, just dips out and leaves Aurora there like, so we ain't gonna like talk about this. And Aurora calls Oliver and it's like, have you heard from her? I haven't heard from her in a couple days. And Oliver's like, no, but let me track her phone on like, I imagine they would like find my iPhone or like find my friends. So they track it to this bar that her cousin owns. And I really liked this scene because I always like club or like bar-esque scenes in books when it's like crowded and there's just like all this mass chaos, but the main character still seems to know like what's going on. So they get to this bar and Tristan is at the bar and she's like, of course you're here. And I wrote down, I was like, oh, Tristan wants to play games now. And the reason I wrote that is because Tristan goes, you can either help me find Allison or you can go on a date with me or go out to dinner with me. And Aurora's like, you kidnapped me. You're now stalking me pretty much. You have me cornered in this bar and you want to ask me out? Who are you? And what are you doing? And she was like, whatever. So she goes like to find Allison and Allison ends up being in like the back alley and Allison loses her cool and it like snaps like that and she starts feeding off of Aurora, I believe, and she holds her up against the wall and like pretty much almost kills her. And Tristan comes out and saves the day, of course, because he's Tristan and the love of my life. I'm accruing a lot of loves of my life through indie books. I mean, I have Tristan and then I also have Beck in the Violet theory. So like 2 out of 2 new boyfriends. Indie books are supplying me all my love life I need. So then we find out Tristan erased Oliver's memories and I mean like, I'm not surprised. Why wouldn't he erase Oliver's memories? But Tristan has Allison and I didn't understand why Aurora wasn't more pissed at Allison for what she did. Like, I know it's her best friend, but like if my best friend like tried to kill me and held me up against the wall, I'd be pretty pissed off. I'd be angry. But maybe Aurora's just a better person than me and doesn't have a fiery temper like me. So I just couldn't wrap my head around why she wasn't so angry with her. Like, I knew that she wanted to find Allison and make sure she wasn't dead, and that's totally fine, but I feel like she still should have been a little pissed off at her. I don't know. I think almost killing your best friend constitutes for being angry at them. Returns back to the dorm and they have a talk, but Allison won't give up why Tristan wanted her or anything like that. She just said it's because she was dating someone, and so Aurora automatically thought, oh, you're dating Oliver, Faye can't date humans, like, duh. And that's not the case. We learn later on that she is dating a light Faye, which I didn't talk about that. The dark Faye and the light Faye don't get along. they don't like each other, and I was a little hesitant when Tristan was like, I'm dark Fae. I was like, that doesn't sound good. That sounds evil. And that sounds like I'm scared of you. But then they were like, we were only allowed to come out at night. And I was like, oh, me, I would be dark Fae because I'm a vampire that only hangs out at night. Like, I'm up at night all the time. I don't like the daytime. I only like the nighttime. So, like, I totally understood that. But they wanted to live in the light now and yada yada yada. Light Fae hate that, so, you know, selfish. You can't share the sunlight with people. Rude. And then we get the call that Aurora's brother is sick, and we learned that he was sick before. Her brother Adam has cancer and he was in readmission, and she finds out that he's sick and they just think it's like a cold or something like that. But I personally knew that it wasn't anything good, especially when someone's in remission. I feel like I'm saying that. Remission from cancer, their immune system's down, or any disease. And so I was like real nervous. And then we find out his cancer came back and it spread to his brain. And automatically I knew, I was like, Adam is not going to make it, and it's going to destroy Aurora, which, as someone who has a sibling that is sick and has a terminal illness, I really resonated with Aurora and I understood where she came from, and I thought Jessi did a really nice job of describing those emotions that you feel that are kind of like you want to help but there's nothing you can do. I just thought Jessi did a really nice job, and I don't know if Jessi has had a sibling that was sick, but if she hasn't, like, she really understands those emotions, and I thought that was really nice, because I feel like a lot of times in books it's not genuine and it doesn't feel real for people who experience it. And so I was really grateful for Jessi to show that side of having a sibling that is sick. I kind of giggled at the part where Aurora wakes up, and I was like, how did she get to his room? And then we find out it's a dream. And I liked this. I liked that he could like pop into her dreams and be like, hey, how's it going? And she hates it, but I would have been like, what in the heck? And then she enters Tristan's dream, which I thought this was really interesting, because she gets into his dream and it's a dream of him in destruction and like a post-apocalyptic world, she says. And I just really like that glimpse into Tristan, because it kind of humanized him for me in the way that I didn't have that way. I just thought he was kind of cocky and he just thought he was better than everybody else. But then when he humanized himself in that scene, even though he didn't intentionally do it, I did feel for Tristan, and I started trusting him more because he's been through a traumatic experience. Oh, I didn't mention, they had the interview where she came in and she had to be Tristan's like intern, and she had to intern at the Westbrook. And I just saw my note that I love how Skylar gets the task of pretty much like babysitting Aurora, and she hates it. She's like, why do I have to do everything around here and make sure the little human is not getting into trouble and no one's killing her in the office? Why is that? And so but I also think Skylar's like a great mentor in the way. She reminded me a lot of like a Rosalie character, and I love Rosalie, if you know from Twilight. But that kind of character that she doesn't really like Aurora, she doesn't like humans, and she hates that she's having to babysit her, but she's still willing to teach her and willing to allow her to grow in the business field, because that's what Aurora is going to school for. And then we have the elevator scene where the two fae, the dark fae, come in, and they obviously don't like Aurora because she's human, and she's like throwing mad lip at them. And of course, one of the fae like throws her up against the wall and is like, you want to talk lip? Like, let's go. Like, square up, homie. Who says that? But literally, and then she's surprised that they like attacked her. And I was like, you just like talked crap to them and you expect them not to retaliate? Like, are we really surprised here, Aurora? No. But then we get a really protective scene of Tristan with Aurora, and I liked that. And like, I liked Tristan's protective nature of Aurora, because I don't feel like it was overbearing. Sometimes it can be overbearing in novels and it's like macho man, like I'm protective and I must protect you, but Tristan was never like that. It was more of like a caring protectiveness, and I felt like it was just like a normal thing. Then the bombshell comes out that Allison is lying about the whole humans not able to date Faye. And of course Aurora's mad. Like, she's mad and she has to figure it out. And Aurora, or Allison, is like, well, I didn't like correct you because you just assumed that I just didn't correct you, but like Oliver's gay. And we talked about it and we like made a deal that we would pretend to still date, but he's gay. And I was like, okay, why didn't you correct her when you said that? Like, just because you didn't correct her doesn't mean you're not lying. Like, you're omitting the truth. And it just, I get that she didn't want to spill Oliver's secret, but she could have said, she could have just not lied to her. And I didn't like the deception of Allison doing that. Oh, but like, she's not just dating like a random fae. She's dating the enemy. She's dating a light fae, and like, Tristan's not down with that. He's like, really? Like, sleeping with the enemy? Really, Allison? Sorry. Oh, this scene. So Aurora goes to the study group, and like Daniela, oh, that was her name. The girl at the beginning that Allison didn't like was Daniela. And Daniela comes and brings her coffee. And I was like totally like not suspicious of Daniela. I was like, oh, Daniela's like just this cool girl that goes to school with her that's just kind of a little bit dumb, and Allison doesn't like her. But all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, Aurora starts like making like, she starts dying. She gets like all these like blue and black veins all over her like chest and her body. Like, it's literally killing her. This fae poisoning that was in the coffee. And so Allison is like, I don't know what to do. I have to call Tristan. So Tristan comes and he brings her back to the room. I wrote, okay, I may be over dramatizing the situation before I knew what was actually going on. I wasn't. She was actually dying. And the whole scene where he's like taking the poison out and he has to like insert his blood into her, I was a little squeamish because I don't like blood. Like, that kind of, like, if it's like you killed someone in a book and like blood splatters, that doesn't freak me out. But like sharing blood, it kind of made me squeamish. But he like saves her and he kept calling her sweetheart, and I was like, sweetheart is my new favorite pet name. I love, if it comes out of Tristan's lips, he can call me sweetheart any day. But yeah, we find out Daniela poisoned her, and then she is taken care of. You offed her. You killed her. Can I see that scene? Can I be the one that kills her because you touched my baby? Thank you. Oh, and so he tells her that there will be side effects for this whole blood transfusion transfer thing, and all of a sudden Aurora can feel Tristan's emotions, but Tristan could always feel Aurora's emotions because that's just how they are, because they feed off of energy and they feed off of like emotions, and emotions are energy. So now she can feel Tristan's emotions, and I was living for that. I was like, that's what you get for just creeping on people's emotions and being over here. Just get away from my emotions. Now I can feel yours. So ha. And then he started calling her Rory, and I was like, take me now. Like, I thought that was the cutest nickname, and like I never even thought about like Aurora being like Rory, but it also gave me Gilmore Girl vibes, and I was living. Oh, so later on we get a piano scene where she goes and she sings a song and has a piano, and Tristan like comes in and is talking to her about like her music and like about everything that's has been happening. And I wrote, can he make out with her on the piano, because that's what I need from this scene. We didn't get that. So the person that Allison is dating is named Evan, and he shows up at the dorm, which I thought was really ballsy, because like he knows Tristan cares for Aurora. Why are you coming around her? I know you're like pleading for a meeting with Tristan, but like that was real ballsy, because Tristan could be like, done, be gone, and you're gonna get taken care of now because you crossed me and talked to Aurora. I also love how when Aurora's late to class the one day that she walks in and Tristan is the guest speaker, and I was like, of all days that she's late, that is like my favorite time, because she walks in and she's like, and he's like, what, why are you late? Like, what are you doing? And also after that, he knows her coffee order, which is like, if you know someone's coffee order, like you have it bad. You have it bad to the point like you know that person. Because listen, coffee is like your soul. If you know my coffee order, you know my soul. Oh, and then we find out about Max and Oliver, and I literally like screeched. I was literally sitting in my car before school and reading this scene, and I like screamed to the top of my lungs in my car, and people in the parking garage probably heard it and thought someone was getting killed. But I was so excited that Max and Oliver were together, and I was like, oh, they're so cute, and I love Oliver, and like I kind of like Max, and that's adorable. Then we have the breakfast scene. She walks into the apartment or the hotel room, whatever, the suite, whatever you want to call it, and Tristan's just standing there in the towel, and she's like, can you put some clothes on? And I was like, oh no, take that towel off. Take it off. It's fine. We're fine. Like, why do you want him to put pants on? She pulls out a nickname for Tristan and calls him Trist, and I was like, they have nicknames for each other, and I swear I'm like a 12-year-old girl. I'm like, I'm so excited. I have the makeout in the kitchen scene. Again, top notch. Jessi really knows how to write a kissing scene, or like more later on down the line, but man, this girl knows how to write it, and I'm like, can you teach me your ways? Because I don't understand like how to, like I understand but like you write it so beautifully. The news that Adam has gotten worse and he ends up passing, and Tristan goes, well, they have the gala after the breakfast scene, and she's at the gala, and it's a really big success, and then she gets the call that Adam is sick and she needs to get there right away because they don't know what's going on. So Tristan ends up taking her because she asked him to take her, which I really liked, because I don't know, I just felt like that was such like a moment, like the person you take to a situation like that really says something, and I like that she took Tristan, but then Adam ends up passing, which I wasn't really surprised for. I kind of prepared myself for, because I was like, this is the moment that Aurora is going to have to like be devastated. Like this is that moment. And so again, Jessi handles it really, really well, and I really liked how she wrote the death and the grieving and all of that follows. I just felt like it was really raw and emotional, and she was pulling from emotions that I know I've felt before, and I know from experience that is not an easy thing, and you don't just get over that, and it's like you see bits and pieces of them every single day, and it's when you do, it's like a ton of bricks. And then so Aurora ends up showing up at Tristan's house, and this is one of the scenes that I like really loved. She shows up at Tristan's house. She's soaking wet because it's raining outside, and Tristan's like, you're gonna get hypothermia, let Skylar help you. And so Skylar takes her into the bathroom and has her shower, and like she just breaks down, and I felt like that was such a raw and real emotion, and like Skylar was really there, and I really humanized Skylar too, because she wasn't just like this cold person that you just see and she's snarky and sassy and all of that, but she was another layer that she really does kind of care about Aurora, and she feels for this girl in this moment, and I really, really liked that scene, that she really comforted Aurora at the moment. Adam's funeral rolls around, and she ends up going to Chinese food with Tristan because her mom's like, go and get food. Like, we can hold down the fort with all these people. Go get food. Just separate yourself for just a little while. I know it's been a hard day, but go. And so they go, and she leaves her phone in the car, and she's like, just give me the keys. Like, I'll go get my phone. And Tristan's like, I can go get it. And she's like, no, just give me the keys, because she is a strong, independent person that can go get her phone out of the car. And she goes to get her phone and gets attacked. And I was real nervous because I was like, oh, the light fae are going to like capture her right now, and then Tristan's going to have to save the day, and I'm nervous because I feel like someone's going to die, and then we're going to have a disaster. But Tristan ends up coming out of the Chinese restaurant and like beating up the culprits, and one of them is Nikolai, which we learn about later in the second book, and he's a part of the novella, and I love me some Nikolai. I'm sorry, but that first scene we have with him where he's snarky and he's funny, and I was like, you, sir, I love you already. He goes over to study with Grant, which I already knew was a bad situation. I was like, okay, Grant hasn't been in the book for a while, and then all of a sudden he's just there, and we are having a study date with him or something. They were doing like a project, and all of a sudden we're going to his house. I was like, why would you go to his house? Why don't you like go meet him at coffee? Like, you really don't know this guy. And of course it bites her in the butt because Grant is Jules, which bamboozled me. I was so flabbergasted that Grant was Jules because I had this intense idea and theory that Allison was Jules or working with Jules, and she was going to portray Aurora at the end. I just had a feeling, I don't know, she was being sketch, and I thought that was going to happen, or that the doctor that was Adam's doctor was Jules, because he just kind of got sick, and I felt like that would be something that the light fae would do, would like sabotage Aurora's life and like kill off her brother. But it was Grant, and I was angry at him because he like brings her to the bar that they go to originally. Her and Oliver go to it in the beginning of the book and get food, and he finds out, or they find out, that he owns that bar. And luckily for Aurora, Evan is cool, the one that's dating Allison, and lets her go so she can escape. And she ends up going to Tristan and like telling him all about this. Then the scene happens, and this was so satisfying. This end like smut scene. I mean, it's more than smut, but like it wasn't too much, and I was nervous when like it was going in that direction. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so uncomfortable. This is going to be the worst thing in my life, and it's going to turn me off from this book, and I'm not going to want to read anymore. But Jessi does it so like tastefully that I was like, I could get on this like tasteful train, because I don't know, scenes like that make me scenes like that make me uncomfortable, and most scenes like that I've read, they're just cringy and I don't like them. But Jessi does a wonderful job of like expressing it, but like not being like, this is what they're doing. And then she wakes up in the morning and just dips out. You know what? Today's a good day to go try to kill the Light Fae leader. Like, let me just go do that. And I was like, ma'am, do you know what you're doing? Because I don't think you do. You're gonna get yourself killed or someone else killed. And she ends up killing Grant. We also get that really nice scene with Adam at the end where he's like, this is not your time to go. You need to go back. And so she wakes up and Tristan's there. But the kicker is she is now the Light Fae leader. She is now Fae, and Tristan is the Dark Fae leader. So like that is the whole rule about not dating the enemy, like, that flew out the window real quick in that moment. But I was so surprised that she was Fae and she was going to be the leader of the Light Fae, and I was like, this is going to ensue hilarity and distress and just a mess. It's just going to be a mess. Aurora done pissed me off, where she goes in and she breaks up with Tristan. She's like, I can't be with you. I need to have a break. I need to separate myself. And I was like, if I was in this situation, I feel like the last thing I would do is separate myself from someone that could help me in the end. I know, like, I don't know. I just felt like she just made a rash decision. She dipped out and she was like, peace out, Tristan. I'll call you. I'll see you later. I'll call you at a meeting. Like, we'll have like a Fae meeting, or it'll be fine. And she just like dips out and is heartbroken. I'm like, you think? Like, I didn't get it, but it's okay because I could go straight into the second one. I hope you all enjoyed this indie book talk. I will leave all Jessi's information, all the book information down below so you can go check it out. And I will see you next time in Wonderland, loves. Bye.